Hey gang, Four-Eyed Piper coming at you. Today I've got a little bit of a different video for you. This is not pipe related. I have recently been working on my diet, and over the last 45 to 60 days I've lost a little over 20 pounds. And the way I've done that is by taking out a lot of processed food and replacing it with just whole foods like meats, vegetables, fruits, seeds, nuts. So one of the things that we got talking about in one of the lives a couple weeks ago was that I had spent a little bit of time cutting meat in my life. And I recently picked up a rib loin, a beef rib loin, and I'm about to prepare that. So I thought maybe that you guys would enjoy learning a little bit more about this cut of meat and what you could do with it, because there's a lot of different things you can do with the rib loin, and it's really simple to cut. So, and this knowledge that hopefully you'll take something away from this little bit of knowledge that you'll have will allow you to save some money, because it is a lot cheaper to buy whole primals and cut them down into steaks and roasts and that kind of stuff than it is to go and buy steaks and roasts. Okay, so it's going to be kind of a dirty, loose video. I'm sorry, I'm just going to be, one take in it, but here we go. So here is my rib loin, and this is a big cut of meat, okay? This is where you're going to find, most commonly, what people are going to cut out of this are their ribeye steaks and their rib roasts, and that would be like your prime rib, right? So they usually come in a cryovac bag, and I'm going to just cut that away right now. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. And I will tell you that I do have better knives to use. I'm using a standard chef's knife because that's what most people have in their kitchens. And you can do anything you want to with just a standard chef's knife. You can butcher an entire cow with a chef's knife. It just takes longer. And this is an all-purpose kind of a knife. So I'm going to take it out of this cryovac sealed bag. There's usually not a lot of stuff. You can see there's not a lot of waste. And you'll see that I got a bone-in rib loin because I like to have ribs. I like beef ribs. I like roasting them. They're fantastic cuts. So that is the bone side, the rib side here, and the top here is what we call the fat cap, okay? And they leave a pretty large fat cap on these when they cut them at the processing facility that they come from. I personally like to keep a lot of fat on my rib cuts because this is the best fat in the animal, in my opinion. Very good fat. So what I'm going to do is actually cut a roast out of this. I'm going to cut some steaks out of this, some thin and thick cut steaks, and then I'm going to also cut up some ribs for later use. So the biggest thing that I need to do right now is decide my rib roast, okay? That's the first piece that I'm going to take out. And typically these come in 6 or 7 rib loins. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ribs here. And typically if you cut the meat around a rib, that's going to feed 2 people for 1 rib. So I'm going to actually cut this into a 3 rib roast because I will probably have guests over at some point, and I always like leftovers with my prime rib. And so you're going to want to take a look, see where that rib kind of lines up, and find the space in between the ribs and then cut through that. That's basically the game here. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to find my 3rd rib. I'm going to go right next to that, and I'm going to cut straight down through the whole of this primal. And it's just a straight down to the counter kind of cut. And then when I open this up, you're going to be able to see what looks like your typical ribeye steak, right? Because that's what that is a ribeye steak. I'm leaving the bones in, but what I like to do is find the edge of where those ribs are. So you just feel right in here. And I like to remove partially the meat from the bone. This one's not been chimed very well. But I go right against the bone, and this is what we call cracking, okay? So when you go to your butcher and you're picking up your roast for Christmas dinner, a lot of times they will pre-crack these and leave the bone partially attached. And that's what I'm doing here. So you can see this is all the meat. Here's the bone, partially attached. They will tie this, and then you will cook your roast and be able to cut the meat right away from the bone very easily. So that's my roast. That's all done. That's as easy as it is. That guy will feed probably 10 people, but I like to have leftovers. So the rest of this, I'm going to do boneless. So I'm going to take away all of this rib material. I'm going to save the ribs because those are fantastic. You can use them. You can eat the ribs. Well, not the bones themselves, but the meat around the ribs. But they're also really good for roasting and doing beef stock. So I'm going to do the same kind of thing that I just did with that roast to this whole thing, but I'm going to take the bones all the way off. And I know you can't see very well. I know this is kind of a quick and dirty, but I'll show you. Taking the bones off here. Okay. Okay. Long sweeping cuts are always best. They're going to give you the cleanest looking meat. And there we go. We got our ribs off here. We can go through and just cut these all individual if we wanted to. I'm just going to wrap this up and throw it in the freezer as it is. Cool. Now we've got a boneless rib roast here. That's what this is. And I'm going to cut it into steaks. So I like to keep all this fat cap on. The only thing is right here, there's a huge portion of fat. So I'm going to take that off. I like to use this fat in some processing of my deer meat. My knife is getting a little bit dull. Okay, take off a nice big portion of fat. That's going to go in the freezer as well. And then as I'm cutting these steaks, I'll trim them up as I like them. So for me, the best steak is about a finger width. That gives you a pretty thin cut. If you wanted a nice thick cut, I'd go a finger and a half, or your thumb width. That's going to be about a 3/4 inch steak. Some people like them thicker, some people like them thinner. I do a lot of my steaks in the wintertime on the stove top, so I like a thinner steak because it'll cook in the pan a little bit easier. And that's what we've been kind of subsisting on lately. So find your width and basically just do straight down to the cutting board cut. Might sharpen this knife. And it's just straight. Nice straight cut. And there you go. There's your rib-eye steak. Rib-eye steak. Boom. Nice size steak. And frankly, I'm going to leave that little bit of fat on there. I like that when it gets all crisped up in the pan. Delicious. Cool. So we're going to make a whole pile of steaks here and basically just finish this out. But I wanted to do a quick video just to show you guys what I've been working with. I like to use gloves because my hands get dried out from cutting meat. But yeah, I'm sorry, this is really shaky. I thought you guys might enjoy that. It's really quick and easy. If you want to know anything more, just let me know. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And if you want to know more about my particular journey on my weight loss, happy to help out. Shoot me an email at foureyeedpiper@gmail.com or shoot me a comment down below. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time.